So, what are you up to next spring break, huh?
I really don't know. I don't really have any plans.
I was thinking about, heading to Miami, right?
Why's that?
Why not go to Miami? It's got tanning, it's got gym, it's got girls, it's got Miami Vice, it's got gelato. I mean, who says no? You down?
Yeah, definitely. I'm down. 110%.
Hey, I
What the-
overheard you guys talking about Miami. Just out of class today, I have to talk about environmental issues. You guys got a minute?
Do you know this guy, Elliot?
You guys are just sitting around like losers anyway.
Sure, man. Got nothing to lose. What's the issue?
Rising sea levels, and the fact that society has not fully come to grips with the severity of its inevitable impacts. Miami and many other places in the world will likely be completely underwater within our lifetimes.
Man, the United States won't let that happen. They'll take care of it. Don't worry.
I'm sure they will try their best not to lose any of it, but they will be combating rising sea levels on every coastline.
Well, I'm sure like the other nations won't just let a city as large as Miami disappear. Someone's bound to help the US out.
Most of them will be dealing with the same problem. They'll have to deal with protecting their own cities from rising sea levels and many other environmental concerns.
What's even causing sea levels to rise so quickly?
Climate change. It's an ongoing issue driven by human activity, so any efforts that don't directly combat climate change as the root cause aren't sustainable solutions. It's a global concern for humanity and future generations. In fact, rising sea levels are just the tip of the iceberg of problems caused by climate change.
That's just a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese.
The average annual rate of global sea level rise was 2.8 to 3.6 millimeters a year between 1993 to 2010, around double the 1901 to 1990 average of 1.3 to 1.7 millimeters a year. Those are hard stats, bro. Chinese can't fake that. This should worry you, because it's never been seen before. Scientific models have compared the background or natural rate of sea level rise and fall over the past few million years to the rise in sea level seen today. Found that our current rate of sea level rise is still quite high, and that humans are definitely at fault.
I feel like everything you're saying isn't really connected. They seem like isolated issues.
It's all connected. Essentially, rising greenhouse gases directly drive climate change today, as it always has. A warming climate is the cause of two major factors by which sea levels rise: thermal expansion and melting glaciers.
Why reduce them? Don't they just disappear from the atmosphere after a while?
No, carbon dioxide and other harmful greenhouse gases stick around for a long time. The majority of the gases are removed in 20 to 200 years, but the remaining 20 to 35% can remain and affect the climate for thousands of years. Our major contributions, electricity, transportation, and agriculture, account for 30, 26, and 9% of total greenhouse gas emissions respectively, according to the US EPA. 2014 alone, 6,870 million metric tons of CO2 is emitted, only in the United States. Other nations as well are heavily reliant on fossil fuels. US production of carbon is more than what can be stored annually in all of Earth's carbon sinks.
There's no way I'm changing my lifestyles to cut back on emissions. Not gonna happen.
You should. Even the slightest bit of reduction helps. Otherwise, you're partially responsible for all the trapped heat in the atmosphere and the increase in global temperature. The increase in temperature creates a parallel increase in water volume, otherwise known as thermal expansion. Additional volume of water is also due to the melting of the glaciers, another consequence of increased temperatures. Both of these are driven by a warming atmosphere and hydrosphere, and both are negative feedback loops. This means that the more they happen, the faster they happen, and it means that the curve for sea level rise is and always will be exponential.
But like each winter is so cold, so it's not really getting warmer, right? Like I still have to shovel like 5 feet of snow every year. That makes no sense.
Actually, global temperatures have increased by 0.78 degrees Celsius since the 1800s. There's a corresponding difference in temperature change in water, approximately 0.1 degrees Celsius. A slight change in water temperature is a massive change in total global heat, considering water covers 70% of the Earth's surface.
So the sea levels rise. Won't stop me from getting a tan and enjoying South Beach, Miami.
I think you guys should know some of the likely consequences of sea level rise. You guys like Miami, huh? Well, that's one of the places that will be worst hit, and it's already happening. Do you know that high tide flooding is common in Miami Beach? It's a new occurrence in the last 10 years. The city is so worried about losing land to the ocean that they're spending $400 million on pumps, seawalls, trying to build the streets taller. Cities like Miami don't really have a choice. Coastal property and assets on it are very valuable. Sea level rise of just 3 feet would put more than $38 billion in assets at risk of complete loss. Infrastructure solutions like bigger foundations and taller streets work in the short term, but with projected sea level rise for 2100 at 3 meters, it's difficult to say whether engineers will be able to keep up.
It's not like it's coming out of my pocket. Nope.
The infrastructure cost will. Billions of people can potentially be affected. Many will be displaced due to rising waters and be forced to move more inland. That's going to cost a lot of money too. We'd also lose important coastlines and ports established across the world, damaging the world economy. Rural and populated areas everywhere would be made more susceptible to flooding. Also, the increase in temperature of water will affect the top 700 meters of each ocean. Many organisms inhabit this region of water. A slight change in water temperature is enough to severely negatively impact the ecosystem and may make the water uninhabitable for many species of marine life. Also, the ice caps are melting, north and south poles, leaving no habitable region for tons of biodiversity, including polar bears and penguins.
To be quite honest with you, I never really liked Happy Feet anyway.
Attitudes like that is why Miami is going underwater. Rising water levels also pose a threat to freshwater drinking supply. Sea levels rising and salinity can potentially contaminate freshwater drinking supply inland. Freshwater is already a scarce resource to begin with. Global droughts are becoming more prevalent and lasting longer. So much so, places such as California are buying water to supply their demand.
You know, you actually have some pretty good points, but what am I going to do about it? Or what can they even do about it for that matter?
Like I mentioned before, sea level rise is directly correlated with anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. The absolute best thing you can do to help Miami stay above sea level is live a lifestyle that produces fewer GHGs. Buy a bike, cut back on meat, and turn off lights when you leave your place. Bam, you're already helping.
Are you sure that me turning off my lights and possibly going vegetarian or vegan or doing all these small things are going to make a big difference?
Every little bit helps, but you're right. Every person and company on Earth will have to come together to comprehensively fight climate change.
Las golondrinas buscando el sol se van y las campanas sus nidos guardarán.